Russia and China just done the unthinkable against the US dollar. If you have an interest in Brics news, it's crucial for you to pay attention to the latest developments. Discover the most recent Brics news and understand its potential impact on Brics growth. In today's video, I'll address these questions and share vital information. I've conducted thorough research for this video, so be sure to watch it in its entirety to avoid missing any valuable insights. Let's not waste any more time, let's get into the video. China continues to dominate and expanded Brics. The origins of Brics, a bloc comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and as of 2024, new members Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates, can be traced back to a 2001 publication by Goldman Sachs economist Jim O'Neill titled Building Better Global Economic Brics. O'Neill argued that Brazil, Russia, India, and China were poised to play an increasingly significant role in the global economy. His prediction was that by 2050, these countries would collectively account for 40% of the world's economic output. In reality, from 2012 to 2022, China alone has accounted for around a quarter of global GDP growth, and the Brics countries together contributed over 45%. BRIC was officially launched in 2009 and was renamed Brics in 2010 when South Africa joined the group. Since then, trade relations have clearly grown, but in a very unbalanced manner. Most of the growth in trade has been China-centric, with the contribution from the rest of Brics remaining quite flat until recently. The recent increase is mostly explained by India, which has experienced an acceleration in economic growth. Brics members are increasingly intertwined with China as far as trade is concerned, but the remaining members have very few ties among themselves. Bilateral trade between Brics members, other than China, remains extremely low. China's sheer economic size, 5 times greater than India's, and China's increasing assertiveness in foreign policy explain China's dominance of Brics. Brics countries have increasingly similar positions to China at the United Nations. This is not only the case for issues within China's sphere, such as Xinjiang-related resolutions, but also more global issues, such as resolutions on the invasion of Ukraine and the Israel-Palestine crisis. The only exception on Ukraine has been Brazil, which voted in line with the West in March 2022. But Brazil's diplomatic stance on Ukraine has become much more blurred since then, and its position has fully aligned with China's on the conflict in Gaza. China has been the leading proponent of expanding Brics to Brics Plus. The main reason for expansion was to make Brics more representative of the developing world and give it a stronger voice on the global stage. But the 6 countries invited to join, which has become 5 after Argentina's withdrawal, are quite heterogeneous. Some are net creditors, such as Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, while others are net debtors and in a very weak financial position. Half of them are large exporters of fossil fuels, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Iran. Ethiopia and Egypt stand out as members from Africa, a continent that has become increasingly important for China's and India's foreign policy. The questions that arise are what Brics can achieve with such a heterogeneous group of members, and whether it will be able to maintain its objectives after expansion. The group has called for comprehensive reform of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank to make the institutions more representative, accountable, and effective in addressing global challenges. Brics has also consistently advocated for comprehensive reform of the United Nations, arguing that its current structure, with 5 permanent members holding veto power, does not represent the interests of all member states. One increasingly important objective of Brics is to become the new platform for developing countries to voice their concerns and interests. The international financial architecture is an area where members' positions can clearly be aligned. Brics promotes the use of local currencies in trade between its member states, especially in trade with China, as well as supporting rules-based, open and transparent global trade. The expansion of its membership evidently supports this objective. The actual impact of Brics expansion will depend on several factors, including the group's ability to overcome its internal challenges and the response of the West. Still, the smooth expansion is a clear sign that the global balance of power is shifting, and that developing countries are playing an increasingly important role in global affairs. How Brics will fare over time depends on several factors. First and foremost is how China's power evolves. There is increasing consensus that China's long-term growth will continue to decelerate, which will reduce the opportunities that the Chinese market has to offer for Brics members and others. A second important factor is how Brics members and their populations come to perceive China. The heterogeneity of BRICS is not only economic, but also political. The elephant in the room is India, which finds itself in an increasingly uncomfortable position in groupings that are dominated by China. Still, the group's diversity and its members' respective comparative advantages could turn out to be a boon not only for China, but also for India. BRICS, which started as a primarily economic initiative to mark the transfer of economic power to the emerging world, has grown into an important geopolitical grouping. China's centrality and the diversity of its members present both challenges and opportunities. The future of the grouping is uncertain, given its heavy economic dependence on China and the deteriorating sentiment towards China among its members. India's fast growth and increasing geopolitical have created additional challenges for the continuation of a China-centric BRICS. Now it's time for today's top headline news. In what is certainly an important moment for the BRICS alliance, Russia and China have completely ditched the US dollar for trade. Indeed, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has recently stated that the economic bilateral relations between the two countries have undergone near complete de-dollarization. The abandonment of the greenback in these trade dealings has been a continued goal for the economic alliance. Now, more than 90% of the nation's bilateral trade dealings are settled in either the yuan or ruble. Subsequently, the two countries are now set to continue those efforts that have yielded monumental results. Russia and China abandoned US dollar in all bilateral trade. Throughout the last several years, the BRICS economic alliance has held firm to the hope for de-dollarization in the global south. It has opted to embrace national currency promotion in the hope of lessening Western dominance over global economics. Just 4 months into 2024, and that goal has taken substantial strides. Now, amid the BRICS alliance flourishment, Russia and China have announced they've almost completely ditched the US dollar in bilateral trade. Indeed, Russia's foreign minister discussed the feat with the TASS news agency. Additionally, the cooperation in economics is only set to magnify. Throughout 2023, trade between the two nations had only increased. Specifically, transactions between the two had reached a record $240 billion, increasing 26%. Alternatively, trade dealings between the United States and Russia had reached a 30-year low. This undoubtedly stems from Russian sanctions employed following the latter's invasion of Ukraine. Indeed, the weaponization of the US dollar was the premier catalyst to birth these de-dollarization efforts. Furthermore, it has evolved into a key pillar of the BRICS infrastructure. This development will certainly also be beneficial to both the ruble and the yuan. Moreover, it should set a precedent for increased prominence of national currency usage as a byproduct of de-dollarization. It will be interesting to see how this could influence further action from other BRICS participating members. Also in today's news, scheduled for later this year, the annual Brics Summit is going to be one for the books, likely taking place during the latter half of the summer, similar to last year's timing. The summit will gather the bloc's member nations, interested parties, and representatives from the New Development Bank to hash out initiatives, focused primarily on expansion and the move away from relying on the US dollar. A key question hangs in the air. Will European nations participate in this year's BRICS Summit? With the bloc catching more eyes globally, it has particularly piqued interest among European countries. This sparks curiosity about whether any of these nations will journey to Russia to engage in the summit discussions. In a push to widen its influence, BRICS has been active over the past year in integrating new members, having welcomed several at the beginning of 2024. The bloc plans to extend formal invitations to additional countries later this year, aiming to boost its global presence. Notably, BRICS has made a strategic move towards Europe by inviting Serbia, marking its first overture towards European integration. This development surfaced on March 29, when it was reported that Serbia had received an invitation to the upcoming summit in Russia. Given Serbia's current non-member status with the European Union, aligning with BRICS could represent a substantial shift. Such a partnership could considerably alter the European geopolitical landscape and prove advantageous for both Serbia and BRICS, particularly as the alliance seeks to diminish Western economic dominance and forge a new global economic order. However, the likelihood of other Western European nations receiving invitations to the summit or joining BRICS remains low. The ongoing conflict, such as Russia's involvement in Ukraine, has likely cooled interest among Eastern European countries in aligning with a bloc that includes Russia. In another part of the world, the United Arab Emirates, UAE, has been recognized as one of the top 3 countries for global business in 2024 only outpaced by Hungary and the Netherlands. This ranking reflects an assessment of over 56 countries, highlighting the UAE's significant role as a hub for economic activities and business startups. This accolade is a testament to the thriving economy of the UAE, which have attracted substantial investments, including a $1.5 billion investment by Microsoft and UAE-based AI firm G42. The addition of new members has been a crucial element in BRICS' strategy to expand its economic interactions and influence. These countries have since begun to demonstrate their economic prowess, further strengthening the BRICS framework and enhancing its effectiveness in global economic policies. Meanwhile, Colombia has expressed a keen interest in joining BRICS. In a discussion with Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, Colombian President Gustavo Petro stated his country's desire to become a full member as swiftly as possible. President Lula da Silva has shown support for this move, reflecting a growing acceptance and potential future expansion of the BRICS membership. That is the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time at the #1 finance channel, Finance IQ Bot.